Now, I'll be the first to admit that when I first moved to Salem, Oregon, people can tell right away that I was not a local to the area, or they at least knew that I hadn't lived in Salem for all that long. Little nuances that make up your day-to-day life or your seasonal life here, things that you just kind of take for granted when you live in a place for a long time. When my family moved here from Los Angeles, there were things that I did in Los Angeles that I didn't think twice about, but people who weren't used to living there didn't quite understand how things really worked. And that was the same case when I moved to Salem. I faced those same issues. Not that they were huge issues, but just knowing these things will make your life a little bit easier, or at least you'll have a better understanding before you move to Salem. So in this video, my goal is to prep you for your big move to Salem, Oregon, so you can fit in more like a local, at least better than I did. The first thing that you may want to be aware of, and certainly I was not used to, was there's actually a pretty big allergy season. Now, I was not someone that suffered from allergies, nor anyone in my family. Thankfully, for me personally, this hasn't been a big deal, but from family and friends that have actually since moved here, they've been hit hard with allergies. And people that live here know that allergies can be a big problem because we live in a valley, the Willamette Valley. So air sometimes gets trapped in between the two mountains and thus keeps that air or the allergens floating around a lot longer. We are surrounded by countryside, which has a lot of farming. We have a lot of agriculture around here. So a lot of fruit-bearing trees and plants. And so these pollens and a lot of grasses, because it does rain here quite a bit, we do get outstanding spring and summers with lush rolling hills, beautiful grass and greenery everywhere. But with that comes seasonal allergies. So if you are someone susceptible to these things, you may want to visit during those times to see how badly you are affected. Of course, there are things that you can do to mitigate the allergy season, but just make sure that you are aware of that because the locals are certainly aware. Now, the second thing you should be aware of is the gray skies here in Salem. Now, everyone talks about the rain and how much it rains here, and you live in the Pacific Northwest, that's just what it is. It does rain quite a bit. However, it's not so much the rain that can get people down here, and even the locals will tell you this. It's more of the gray skies. Yes, it rains. It's not like it's sheets and sheets of rain, huge heavy storms. It's not like that. Occasionally we get it, but it's more of this mist and this lighter rain. But more importantly, it's the gray skies. Sometimes we can have gray skies for weeks and weeks at a time. It feels a lot longer. And these conditions actually do go from about October all the way till May-ish or so, where you're going to face a lot of gray skies, a lot less sun. Now, that's not to say that the sun's not coming out. Actually, the time of this video, the sun is popping out and it's winter. So just know that it's more the gray skies that can hit you a little bit harder. So if you are someone that has seasonal depression or someone that just needs that sun to be happy, then you may want to reconsider or at least visit here in Salem during the fall and winter where it's the most gray to see how it affects you. My family and I, as mentioned, came from sunny Southern California, so this was a big adjustment. But the point is we have made those adjustments. It's just we were caught off guard, and when we were talking about that with people who've lived here for a long time, for them it was like, yeah, no surprise. But for us, it was a bit more of a surprise than we anticipated. Now, sticking with the weather theme here, just know that when you live in Salem, Oregon, umbrellas are really not a thing. No matter how much it rains here, you really don't see many people with umbrellas. So if you are carrying an umbrella and you've got that thing popped open, especially if you like the bright colors, yellow, oranges, and reds, you will stick out like a sore thumb. That's not to say that some people don't use umbrellas here, but more people don't. They just strap on their jacket with a hood on and they just power through the rain or the mist or whatever's going on out there. And that was something that I had to adjust to because, again, it came from a place that didn't rain much, so everyone popped open an umbrella because it was a big deal. Here, it's just a way of life. So if you pop open your umbrella, you'll be spotted as someone who hasn't been living here for a long time. Now, a lot of these things on the list are kind of light and fun, but this, again, is to get you used to what the daily life is and the little nuances here in Salem. So this next one on our list is going to be U-turns. We're going to be talking about a little bit of road rules here in Salem. Where I came from, driving, you can make a U-turn at intersections as long as it didn't say no U-turns. Well, it's the opposite here in Salem. You can't do any U-turns when driving here unless a sign says U-turns allowed, which is very rare in the city. You don't see many of them. So just know you're not going to be able to do U-turns without potentially getting a ticket or a fine, getting pulled over by the police here. That was an adjustment for me. I wasn't even used to it, didn't even think about it, didn't even show up on my radar. Thankfully, I haven't been pulled over for that, but when I was with some friends driving, they were kind of giving me the heads up and the warning just to let me know that I could possibly get a ticket for making a U-turn at an intersection that didn't have a sign explicitly saying that I was allowed to do U-turns. Another thing that I had to get used to here in Salem was that you are allowed to make left turns on red lights as long as you're turning left onto a one-way street. That was a little odd for me. Took a little while for me to get used to and get comfortable with, because just, you see the red light, you're not used to saying, well, I can still make a left turn on a red light. But it actually does free up traffic quite a bit by allowing that. But that was something that I absolutely was not used to from where I lived before. And I had to make a big adjustment for that, because people behind you are wondering why you're not making that turn when the light is red and you're going onto a one-way street. They're looking at you like, what are you doing? Although I will say drivers here in Salem are actually way more polite than where I'm from. So it's actually a breath of fresh air. Just know you can make a left turn onto a one-way street on a red. Now this next one drives me crazy. Personally, I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to this here in Salem, and maybe after you're hearing this, you're going to think, well, what's the problem? This is the way it is where I live. But two things here. Yellow, when a light is yellow here, flashing yellow, people stay behind the intersection. They don't mosey into the intersection getting ready to make their left turn. But more importantly for me, what I'm still getting used to is when the light is green and people stay behind, when they're making a left turn, people stay behind the crosswalk. Where I'm from and what I'm used to and what the rules of the road are where I came from is that when a light is green and you're making a left turn, you mosey on into the intersection, you wait until it's clear, and you can make your turn. Here, people stay behind the intersection. So the light can be green, and then because there's so much traffic that the light will turn yellow, they still haven't moved in the intersection, then the light's red and we're all sitting there. So sometimes it could be several traffic lights before anyone makes a left, backing up the left turn lane. Again, this drives me crazy. I've asked locals here why this is the way it is. I still need to ask a police officer or just go into the Department of Motor Vehicles here and ask what's going on. I looked up the driving book here, and it's a little vague. It doesn't offer that much clarity on what's actually legal. But I know in practice, common practice here is no one's going in that intersection unless they're actually completing the whole turn. They're not waiting in the intersection while the light is green or even on a flashing yellow. They're staying behind the crosswalk until it's completely clear to go. Something that I'm not used to. I'm not sure what it's like where you live, but that was a big adjustment, and I'm still struggling with that one. As a reminder, I'm Dave Fein with Real Estate Dads at eXp Realty, local real estate agent that helps people move to and relocate to Salem, Oregon. So if you're thinking about doing that, make sure you hit us up at the contact information popping up or in the description. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. Hit the like button to get this video out to more people like yourselves searching Salem as a place to live. Comment below. Love to hear if you've heard anything or if you have questions about some of the local customs here in Salem. Or if I got anything wrong, people that are watching that are local, let me know. Another thing that you're going to want to get used to is the roaming turkey population here in Salem. No joke. You can be in various neighborhoods throughout Salem, and you're just going to see a pack of wild turkeys just crossing the street, hanging out on someone's lawn. And it's like it's no big deal. This to me was awesome. I was taking pictures, taking video, and people were kind of laughing at me because this is something just, day-to-day life. This is the way it is here. And so that it's kind of cool. Again, it reminds you that you live in a smaller town, even though we would be considered a mid-city. It's just one more thing that reminds you that Salem may be a mid-sized city, but sometimes it acts like a small town. So the wild turkeys are cool. I still get a kick out of them every time I see them. My kids get a kick out of them. They like taking pictures or they like gobbling at them. So just know when you move here, that's just a normal way of life to seeing wild turkeys roaming around. Now this next one coming in at number 8 may not be so obvious as well, even if you were looking at a map, but West Salem is kind of like an island unto itself here in Salem. It's definitely separated because it is the only part of Salem that is across the bridge on the other side of the Willamette River when compared to the rest of Salem. So if you see the map, there is a bridge that connects West Salem to Salem, actually drops you off into downtown area, but it is a big deal. And that's something that I learned pretty quickly because we have friends that live in other parts of Salem, or we meet people and we say, yeah, come on over, we're in West Salem. And they're like, yeah, that means we got to cross the bridge. And they kind of hesitate and stutter. And it's funny to me because they think like it's this big deal. They're so worried about getting caught in traffic on the bridge. And to me, it's blown way out of proportion, especially I moved here from a large city. So traffic here is nothing compared to living in a big city. Yes, it gets backed up on the bridge a little bit. It may add a few minutes to your commute, or along Wallace Road in West Salem, which is the main north-south street in West Salem, and get backed up during the rush hour times. But again, you're adding a few minutes to your commute. You're not sitting in there for 30 minutes or an hour like you would in a big city. So West Salem, there's only one way to get across into the rest of Salem. Actually, there are three ways, but this is the one way that'll take you into Salem. The other two, the map is popping up, takes you way out of your way, probably about 20 minutes south or another 20 minutes north to cross the river, and it takes you, one drops you off close to Kaiser and the other one drops you way south. That wouldn't make sense for you to take. It just would add so much more time to wrap around and come back into Salem that way. So the bridge is really your only connection to the rest of Salem. Now, if you are someone that has some concerns about getting over to the hospital more often, maybe you reconsider West Salem, although of course we have fire stations and urgent care here and doctor's offices, but the hospital is on the other side. So if that's something that you feel like you need to be close to and not run the risk of any closure of the bridge, then may reconsider West Salem. My family and I chose West Salem. We love it because it does feel like you're away from it all, yet super close. You're like 10 minutes outside of downtown. Now, to get to other parts, it adds a little bit commute. Like if I want to go as far east into Salem or far south, it does add more to my commute, but I'll take it all day because I like feeling like a little bit of an island. So just know, if you are considering moving here and people are talking about West Salem, because it is one of the more popular places to make your home in, just know that people will kind of look at it as a little bit of an island. All right, number 9, I still struggle with as well, and this is just kind of terminology here in Salem. Again, it's mainly because of where I came from, Southern California, where we have expansive beaches, where beach life was the way of life for me. I grew up going to the beach constantly. I was in the surf, in the water a ton of times. Vast, open, sandy beaches. The water's nice and warm for an ocean. Here, you don't go to the beach, you go to the coast. And I'm having a much better understanding of this because the coast, the beach, it's very different here in Oregon. The water is so much colder here that it's not that enjoyable to go in without a wetsuit. I go in maybe knee deep to my waist if I'm feeling bold. My kids are a little bit more adventurous because, well, they don't know what cold is yet. So they go in further. But you don't see a lot of people in the ocean water. People stroll the coastline and the beach and they walk along the sand. But it's really about the coastal communities. That is hard to beat. That is not something I had when in Southern California. These little coastal towns, these cute, quaint towns that have really great restaurants, great art exhibits, just a fun coastal vibe. So when you're saying you're going to the beach, you're going to the coast, and that's what people talk about. Especially in Salem, you're only about an hour and 20 minutes or so to Lincoln City, which is our closest coastal city. Straight shot, easy to get to, and that'll just open you up to the rest of the coastline. But just know, when you are going to the coast, that's what you say. I'm going to the coast, not the beach. Number 10 is something that I really enjoy here. It's such a small part of life, but for some reason it's a big deal for me. They actually have full service gas stations here. Now, when we moved here, you weren't allowed to pump your gas unless you're into more rural sides or countryside where they didn't really have attendants in these small gas stations that were way out of the way. And just recently, they passed a law here in in Oregon, that you can pump your own gas, which is a really big deal for Oregonians here because it's not something they're used to. I think New Jersey is the only other state where you're not allowed to pump your gas. So we've kind of caught up to the rest of the country, but I still love when someone's pumping my gas. That may sound really ridiculous, but I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine. I just don't like getting out of the car and pumping my gas. So I will admit that I still have attendants pumping my gas, especially if it's cold and it's raining. It helps out a lot. Of course, I'm teaching my kids how to pump their gas because I think everyone should know how to pump their own gas. But just know when you get here, you have the option full service or self-service, and the prices are the same. I remember growing up in Los Angeles where you did have full service and self-service, and they would charge you more for full service. Now, keep in mind, full service here means they're just pumping your gas. They're not checking oil. They're not doing anything with not wiping your windshields, nothing like that. They're literally just putting the nozzle into your tank and calling it a day. But hey, if you're someone who doesn't want to get out of your car, then this all works out for you. Number 11, I found out the hard way, or it wasn't really the hard way, but it was just pointed out that I was clear I wasn't from around here. I need to pick up some hard liquor. We were having a party, and we went into a grocery store and was looking all around thinking I was going crazy because all I saw was beer and wine. And I finally asked somebody, I said, "Where is your liquor?" And they looked at me like I was a little strange, because you're not allowed to purchase liquor, or they're not allowed to sell you liquor at markets. You only can buy hard liquor at designated liquor stores. So, which is odd. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why that is, because if you can buy liquor, why does it matter whether it's from a supermarket or from a liquor store? It blows me away, but hey, that's just the rules here. Just know, if you like to enjoy a cocktail, or you're having a party and you're picking up some hard liquor, or you own a restaurant and need some hard liquor, then you need to go to a liquor store, which they're all throughout, of course. It's not hard to find, but you're not walking into a market doing your grocery shopping and buying your thing of gin or vodka or tequila or whatever floats your boat. All right, number 12 on the list is some fun pronunciations or local vernacular here in Salem, Oregon, where if you don't pronounce this stuff correctly, you will stick out like a sore thumb and they'll know you're not from around here. The first one we're going to tackle is Willamette. The pronunciation is popping up on the screen. So if you see Willamette River, Willamette Valley, that's how you pronounce it. It's not Willamette, it's not Willamette. I don't know if there's other ways to pronounce it, but it is Willamette. Sounds like, kind of rhymes with damn it, if that's an easy way to remember it. The next one is Chemeketa. You're going to see this a lot because there is a Chemeketa Street in Salem, and there's the Chemeketa Community College with several locations throughout Salem. And so there are many ways I've heard this pronounced, but it's popping up on the screen on how to pronounce this word. The third one is fun because I had no idea what people were talking about when they kept saying the mountain is out. It's referring to Mount Hood, because from Salem you can see Mount Hood, which is a lot closer to Oregon. When the skies are clear, it's beautiful, especially with a snow cap on it. So that's what they're referring to, is when they say the mountain is out, it usually means it's clear skies and you can see kind of forever when you're living here in Salem, especially on the hills. So those are some fun words and little customs that you should be aware of when moving to Salem. Number 13 on the list, which everyone knows about here in Salem, is the agritainment here. It is awesome. It's one of the reasons why we chose Salem, because there's so much mixture of agriculture and entertainment here in the city. The you-pick experience, where you can go and pick your own fruit, your vegetables. It is awesome. My family and I do this constantly throughout the spring and the summer and into the fall. We love the fresh fruit that we can just pick right off the bush, off the vine. The kids love it. It's entertaining. It's something to do for the family, to do together. We just absolutely love this experience. And so many of the locals here in Salem participate. Then also during the fall, you have these amazing fall festivities that these farms open their doors with hay rides and corn mazes and fun games and huge pumpkin patches, entertainment. It's a whole seasonal activity session that you can have at these farms that just open up. So it's a mix of agriculture and entertainment. And because we live surrounded by agriculture in the countryside, it's fun that we get to learn and experience what these farms have to offer and what they do on a day-to-day basis as they open it up to the public, and we all get to experience here. So if you live in Salem, everyone knows this is kind of the thing to do, seasonal thing during spring, summer, and into the fall. Congratulations if you got to the end of this educational video. Now you will come here and live like a local Salem, Oregon resident, someone who's lived here a long time. So now you know, you've got the heads up, so you can come in with all the knowledge and maybe not make some of the errors that I made when I first moved out here. Again, these are fun lists. No one's going to really get on you for any of this, or they're just fun things to know or be aware of before making the move to Salem. And again, my team and I love helping people move to and relocate to this awesome city like my family did. So we want to help you make that same transition. Hit us up at the contact information below, and subscribe to the channel to get more videos. Hit the like button to get this video out to as many people as possible. And also comment below. I'd love to hear some of your questions, comments about some of the things I've talked about, or if you have any issues with what I said if you're local. Again, I'm happy to take that criticism.